you want to improve your classroom management? Do you want to increase student engagement? How about amplifying student success? If these are things you're wanting to do, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Things That Work. What are the top 10 most important things you can teach your students? Stay right here because that's what we're going to talk about now. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you some information that will help you learn even more about these 10 very specific, very important, most important lessons. Stay tuned to the end of this video to find out how you can know even more than what's presented here. Lesson number 1. Respect self and others. Students learn respect from examples that they see in their life. It's up to me to show respect to my students, to my colleagues. Students are always watching. They're always looking to see how you and I handle a situation. So it's up to us to behave in a mature way and show respect to everyone around us. When someone comes to your door with a pass for a student, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, even if that person with the pass is another student, show respect to everyone in front of your students. It's one of the things that I've practiced and I encourage everyone to practice because it helps model what you expect from your students. Number 2, teach students how to disagree appropriately. I want my students to be able to disagree with me when they think I'm wrong. I want them to be able to do it in a way that is constructive. I want them to be able to do it in a way that's respectful. I want them to be able to show their disagreement constructively. The way we do that is we teach that not all disagreements will end in an agreement. Sometimes we just disagree, and that is where it has to be. We also have to teach that disagreements don't mean the end of relationship. They don't mean the end of friendship. They don't mean the end of learning. In fact, with some disagreement in your mind, it becomes more likely for a student to seek out things to settle that disagreement. They will seek out information that will help them conquer that cognitive dissonance that occurs when they disagree with someone they respect. Number 3. Curiosity. A successful learner is a curious learner. Allow students to explore their curiosity through conversation, through questions. It's important to teach students how to ask questions as well. When you teach students how to ask good, solid questions, they receive solid information that they will retain for a lifetime. Number 4, empathy. Learning to feel with the people around you. Learning to understand that you can walk in another person's shoes and maybe even interpret how they're feeling through how you would react to something. If you can teach a student empathy, that student can learn almost anything. As the skill of empathy develops, a student will eventually come to a point where they are able to understand why maybe something affects one person differently than it would affect them personally, but they understand why that other person is behaving or reacting or feeling the way they are. Number 5, grace and forgiveness. Every day is a new beginning in my class. Every student gets a fresh start every day. It doesn't matter what occurred the day before. It doesn't matter what all went on any time before because every day is new. So when a student who is misbehaving in your class one day comes to class the next and your other students see you greeting them just like you would anyone else, they recognize that. They recognize that that student has a clean start, and the student who was misbehaving the day before will also recognize that they have a fresh, clean start today, not colored by anything that happened the day before. Now, I am not by any means saying you should be permissive and allow them to do whatever they want to do. No, there are consequences. But the fact is, when they come back to that classroom the next day, they get to start all over. Even if there are consequences they still have to face in the future. Lesson number 6, the importance of diversity and inclusion. The only way I know to teach this is to rearrange my room on a regular basis. That's right, I rearrange it. I mix up the groups. I put people together who haven't been together before. I make sure that there is a mix of things going on so that all students can have exposure to multiple viewpoints. This also, when it comes time for projects and assignments, students receive multiple inputs from multiple students throughout the year, and they are exposed to different viewpoints. It's not a matter of standing up and saying diversity and inclusion is important and I insist. No, you just make sure that they have to be diverse and inclusive. Number 7, teach students how to fail. No, I'm kidding about the laughter part. But you do need to teach students how to fail. Failing is not being a failure. You can fail and you can learn. If a student makes a failing grade on an assignment in my class, the number one thing I'm going to ask is, what did you learn from this? Sometimes students are very upset with their grades. Sometimes students seem like they don't care. It has been my experience, both personal experience of my own and what I've seen in other students, that when someone fails, it really does affect them profoundly, whether they realize it or whether they say it or not. They are affected. It is up to you as a teacher to make sure that they are affected in a way that is positive and will help them grow and maybe not make those mistakes again. So I encourage you, ask your students what they've learned when they don't do their best. Ask them how they will improve in the future to avoid that same problem. Number 8, everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. Okay, obviously, if you, like me, have been blessed with a learning challenge that requires you to do things differently than other students, then yeah, you didn't choose that challenge. However, you can choose, and students do choose, how they deal with the challenges that they have in their life. It is their choice, and how they behave is their choice. In fact, both successes and failures in classes and in school in general, academics and sports, most all successes and failures come from the choices that were made. Everything is a choice. Even not making a choice is a choice. Number 9, having a growth mindset. Our knowledge is not fixed. It's fluid. We can increase it, we can decrease it. What we use and how we use it, that is how our knowledge increases. We don't have a set amount of things we can learn and a set amount of things we can continually grow. And we need to continually grow. Part of accepting failure that I talked about before is part of that growth mindset. What did you learn from it? You know, many students think they are trapped with their thoughts and the thought processes that they have and the abilities that they have currently. You can show them that they are wrong. Number 10, an awareness of others. Fairly simple to teach, but something that needs to be taught because students can be the most selfish people in the world. That's right, and they're supposed to be, especially if you're teaching teenagers like I do. That is a very selfish time of life. And it's important for them to become aware of the world around them. And the way I make them aware of the world around them is by stressing politeness rules. Politeness rules always involve taking into account other people. If a student comes up to talk to me and I'm talking to someone else and they interrupt, I don't let them interrupt. I explain I'm having a conversation and they wait, and they do. And we do this all year, and it's always stressing those politeness rules. You may actually be the first person to teach students how to be polite in a group setting. That is entirely possible. And it also falls into one of my rules that I've talked about in other videos as well, which is never hold a student accountable for something that their parents have not taught them yet. And that goes with politeness rules. Here is a special hint for you. Just like I told you I'd give you at the end of this video, here it is. Every one of these things that I've given you, all of these topics, and they're listed down below, and they are also, you can find them on the headings throughout this video. If you will search teaching students, for instance, teaching students respect of self and others, or teaching students how to disagree appropriately, or teaching students curiosity. Do that with any of these 10 most important lessons for students, and you will be fascinated by the amount of information that will come back to you. I enjoy learning with you, I enjoy teaching with you, and together we can take over the world.